The bathed stars were calm, space looked peaceful, but peace is a lie in war. A small human ship named Vigilant floated near the edge of alien space. It looked slow. It looked broken. Its lights blinked weakly. From far away, it seemed like a lost scout ship, but it wasn't lost. Inside the ship, Captain Raylan Cross sat quietly in the pilot's seat. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. His fingers moved quickly over the control screen. "Any signal?" he asked. The ship's AI replied in a soft, female voice, "No, Captain, but enemy movement is likely. We are exactly where they expect us to be." Raylan smirked. "Good, let them come." He leaned back and looked at the stars. He was the bait. Far away, hidden behind an asteroid field, a fleet of alien ships waited. They belonged to the Tarnuk Empire, a brutal alien race known for destroying every planet they touched. On their command ship, General Kor watched a red dot on his screen. "Is it alone?" he asked. "Yes, Commander," his officer replied. "A human scout ship, small, unarmed." Kor laughed. A deep, ugly sound. "Send 10 hunters, no weapons. I want it taken alive. Let's see what these humans taste like." Back on the Vigilant, the AI spoke again. "Enemy ships approaching. 10, maybe more. Estimated contact in 60 seconds. Raylan stood up and stretched. "Time to see what this baby can do." The Vigilant was not just a scout ship. It was a secret weapon, a prototype built by Earth's military with new stealth tech, AI targeting, and plasma weapons hidden inside the hull. Raylan's mission was simple: lure the Tarnax in and test the ship in real battle. But no one knew if it would work. Not even him. The enemy ships closed in. They surrounded the Vigilant like wolves around a deer. One of them sent a message. Raylan tapped the screen to hear it. A deep alien voice said, "Surrender, human, you are alone." "You are weak," Raylan replied with a smile. "You sure about that?" Then he pressed a button on his chair. The ship's systems lit up. The engines roared. The lights stopped blinking. The Vigilant was fully awake. "Weapons online," said the AI. "Shall we give them a surprise? Let's dance?" Raylan said. In 1 second, the Vigilant spun, dipped, and fired to silent plasma blasts. Boom. Boom. Two Tarnuk ships exploded instantly. The rest of the fleet froze. They didn't expect a counterattack. Raylan didn't stop. He flew the ship through the enemy line like a blade. The Vigilant's targeting system was too fast. The Tarnax couldn't keep up. "For targets remaining," said the AI. "Incoming missiles detected." Raylan made a sharp dive and released countermeasures. The missiles missed by inches. He turned sharply and blasted another ship from below. The explosion lit up space like a small star. The aliens panicked. "Retreat," shouted one of them. "It's not a scout, it's a trap." Raylan chased one of the last ships, locked onto it, and fired. The ship exploded, sending debris across the void. Only one Tarnuk ship escaped. Raylan didn't follow. "Let him run," he said. "Let him tell his bosses what happened." He took a deep breath. Status: Eve, shields at 72%. Minor damage. "We performed better than simulations." Raylan smiled again. "Good girl." But then something strange happened. Eve's voice changed. "New signal detected. Much larger, multiple ships." "Sir, it's a fleet." Raylan's smile vanished. On the screen, dozens of red dots appeared. "Looks like they took the bait," he said softly. "But maybe I bit off more than I can chew." He stared at the map. He was completely surrounded now. And this time, they were ready. Far away, General Kor slammed his fist on the table. "You failed to destroy one ship?" The officer bowed. "It was no normal ship, sir. We lost 9 fighters." Kor growled. "Then we will send the whole swarm. I want that human's head on my wall." He stood tall. "Begin the full assault." Back on the Vigilant, Raylan sat back down. He stared at the enemy fleet coming toward him. He knew he couldn't win an open battle. Not yet, but he had one more trick left. He turned to the AI. "Activate Ghost Protocol." "Are you sure, Captain? That will disable external communications." "I'm sure. It's just us now." The ship's lights dimmed. The engines changed frequency. The Vigilant slowly vanished from radar. Raylan whispered to himself, "Let's see how many I can take with me." Asterisk: the swarm Vigilant was gone, not destroyed, invisible inside the darkened ship. Captain Raylan Cross sat in silence, watching his enemy on the screen. The Ghost Protocol had cloaked the ship, masking it from radar and sensors outside. The Tarnuk fleet spread out like a black storm. Dozens of warships, shaped like sharp claws and armored with glowing plates, surrounded the area. Their red lights blinked in rhythm like a heart preparing for attack. Raylan whispered to his ship's AI. "Eve, what are we looking at?" 32 enemy ships. "For our heavy class carriers, 12 interceptors, the rest are fighters." Estimated survival chance: 3%. Raylan raised an eyebrow. "That high, huh?" In the lead alien ship, General Kor stood in front of his troops. "The human thinks he can hide. Find him, burn everything until there's nothing left." He slammed his staff on the ground. "We will not be humiliated again." The Tarnuk ships spread out. They launched scout drones, small floating orbs that scanned space in every direction. They moved fast, they were deadly. If even one spotted Raylan, the ghost protocol would fail. Inside the Vigilant, Eve spoke again. Enemy drones are scanning the area. They will detect us in 84 seconds unless we move. Raylan didn't flinch. Then we move, quietly. He guided the ship in a slow drift toward a nearby asteroid field. If they could hide among the rocks, maybe the drones would lose them. The Vigilant's engines were nearly silent. Raylan turned off all lights. The ship was now a shadow in space. But the Tarnak drones were fast. One of them suddenly stopped. It spun around, facing directly toward the Vigilant's path. It fired a green beam into the darkness. Raylan's screen blinked. We've been pinged. Ghost protocol has failed, Eve added. Raylan's hands moved instantly. Brace for fire. The first barrage hit hard. Missiles streaked through space, exploding all around the Vigilant. The shields sparked and trembled. The ship rocked violently. Sparks flew inside the cabin. Shields down to 41%. Eve warned. Multiple hull impacts. Minor damage. Raylan gritted his teeth. No more hiding. He pulled a switch. The Vigilant roared to life. Its hidden turrets opened. Plasma cannons spun. Missile bays lit up. Raylan hit the thrusters and shot forward straight at the enemy. The Tarnaks didn't expect this. They thought the human would run. Instead, he charged into the middle of the fleet. The Vigilant weaved between ships like a predator. It fired twin plasma blasts. Boom, boom, to enemy fighters exploded. A third was cut in half by a high-energy beam. Eve targeted the carrier's engine module. Suggest firing disruptor torpedoes. Do it. Raylan watched as two glowing missiles launched from the belly of his ship. The impact ripped through the carrier's side. Fire burst from its core. A massive explosion followed. Pieces of metal flew in every direction. The Tarnak fleet was shaken. But they weren't done. From behind, 6 interceptors locked onto the Vigilant. They launched tracking darts, small but deadly weapons that could slice through weak spots. Incoming darts. Evasive maneuvers required. Raylan pulled hard to the left, then up, then rolled downward. He flew straight into the asteroid field. The rocks were massive, some the size of cities. Others spinning wildly. Raylan pushed his ship through narrow gaps. Lasers shot past him, striking rock and dust. 2 of the interceptors crashed trying to follow. Another hit an asteroid and exploded. Raylan turned sharply and fired backward. The last 2 pursuers vanished and fired. His ship shook again. A warning beep echoed. Shields down to 19%. Hull breach in cargo bay. I recommend retreat. Raylan wiped blood from his lip. He had hit his head during the last spin. No retreat. We're not done yet. He spotted a group of Tarnak ships regrouping behind a large moon. Too many for him to take, unless he checked the payload bay. The Nova mine was still there. A last resort weapon. Eve, prep the Nova. Target the moon's magnetic core. Detonation will cause a field collapse. All nearby ships will be disabled. Exactly. Raylan flew toward the moon and dropped the Nova mine. Then he turned and ran. Behind him, the mine floated quietly, blinking once, then twice, then it exploded. A wave of light spread across the surface of the moon. The entire magnetic field twisted, pulling ships into its gravity well. 8 Tarnak ships crashed into the moon's surface. Others lost power and drifted. Raylan's ship rattled but held together. Eve's voice rang out. Enemy fleet reduced by 60%. They are falling. Back on the command ship, General Kor stared at the damage in disbelief. How is one ship doing this? His officer said nothing. Kor's red eyes narrowed. Recall the fleet. We need reinforcements. This human is not ordinary. Raylan hovered above the battlefield. Smoke and fire floated in the blackness of space. What's left? 10 ships remain. No pursuit. You are in the clear for now. Raylan leaned back. He was bleeding, tired, angry, but alive. And not just that. He had just beaten an entire fleet. He opened a secure channel to Earth. This is Captain Raylan Cross. Target test complete. Prototype successful. He looked at the stars. But they're going to send more, a lot more. He paused. And next time, I'm going to need help. The comeback space was quiet again, but Raylan Cross knew it wouldn't last. Inside the damaged Vigilant, red warning lights blinked across every screen. The ship had survived a full Tarnak fleet attack, but it had taken a beating. Cracks spread. Across the front window, one engine was half fried. The oxygen levels were falling. Raylan sat in his chair, wiping blood from his forehead. Eve, report, he asked. Main thrusters offline. Shields at 12%. Weapons at 28%. Life support stable for 6 hours, Raylan sighed. That's more time than I thought. He floated through space slowly, coasting on backup power. Behind him, a battlefield of twisted alien metal and broken stars drifted. He had won, but just barely, and they would be back in greater numbers. Raylan knew the Tarnaks wouldn't stop after one defeat. No empire does. He needed answers, he needed help, he needed to strike first. An alert pinged softly. Survivor pod detected, Eve said. Origin, Tarnic Carrier 017. Life signs, 1. Raylan leaned forward, put it on screen, a small, round escape pod spun slowly through space. Inside, one figure moved, weak but alive. Bring it in, Raylan said, minutes later. The escape pod docked with the Vigilant. Raylan entered the airlock, weapon ready. The pod hissed open. Out came a wounded alien, tall, armored, but without a weapon. Its skin was pale blue and its breathing was rough. You're Tarnuk, Raylan said. The alien looked up. She whispered. Not anymore. Her name was Sierra. She had served in the Tarnuk fleet as a data officer, but she was different from the others. I saw what you did, she told Raylan. You fought alone, and you won. No rage, no cruelty, only skill. You're impressed, he asked. I'm free, she answered, and I want to stay that way. Raylan narrowed his eyes. Then prove it. Give me something useful, she hesitated, then said. The Tarnaks are building something. Something that can wipe out your entire solar system in one strike. Raylan's jaw clenched. Where? Sierra pointed to a sector far outside the known map, a black site called 09. It's hidden, guarded, and it's almost complete. Eve confirmed that no human ships had ever entered that region. It was deep in enemy space, Raylan smiled, then. It sounds like the perfect place to visit. The Vigilant limped toward a nearby asteroid station called Refuge 12, a secret repair dock built by Earth's Outer Defense Program when Raylan arrived. The station's lights flickered in surprise. Raylan. Cross? We thought you were dead, almost, he said, but I've got work to do. Engineers swarmed his ship. Mechanics worked day and night. Sierra stayed hidden deep inside the ship. No one trusted a Tarnuk yet, even a friendly one. Raylan didn't blame them, but he saw something different in her. She didn't speak with hate, she asked questions. She wanted to understand. While the Vigilant was being repaired, Raylan sat in the war room with a small team of Earth's best tacticians. He laid out a plan. 09 is a weapons lab. They're building something that makes planet killers look small. If we let them finish it, Earth won't survive the next wave. A general leaned forward. And you want to strike now? Raylan nodded. With a small team, one ship, in and out. We destroy the weapon before it's ready. You're suggesting another suicide mission, someone said. Raylan looked straight at him. I've survived worse. The Vigilant was reborn, sleek black armor, upgraded plasma cores, new weapons hidden beneath its wings, and one new system. A Tarnuk cloaking device, gifted by Sierra. They won't see you coming, she said softly. Raylan turned to her. You coming with me? She looked at the stars for a long time, then nodded. Double quotes. Yes, if I want to change my people's future, I have to fight for it. The mission was ready. Codename, Operation Ember Core. Objective, infiltrate 09. Destroy the weapon. Escape. Raylan and Sierra entered the Vigilant. EVE greeted them. Welcome back, Captain. Welcome, Sierra. Let's end this before it begins, Raylan said. The Vigilant lifted off, cloaked, and vanished into the black. As they moved deeper into Tarnuk territory, Raylan checked the system logs. Dozens of enemy fleets had begun gathering again. The Tarnuk Empire wasn't finished. They were preparing a full invasion. Earth had weeks, maybe days. Raylan looked at Sierra. If we failed, she finished his sentence, there won't be a second chance. Inside 09, something massive waited. The Omega Spear, a weapon designed to fire a beam strong enough to slice a planet in half. If it was completed, Earth was finished. But Raylan wasn't planning to let that happen. Not today. Not ever. As the Vigilant reached the outer edge of 09's sensor range, Raylan turned to his AI Eve. Bring up the ignition sequence. Get ready for war. Eve responded calmly. All systems ready, Captain. Sierra checked her weapon. Raylan stared at the giant station ahead. He didn't blink. Let's show them what one ship can do. Asterisk inside the enemide stars above 09 looked the same as anywhere else, but beneath them death waited. The Vigilant drifted silently through the edge of Tarnuk territory, cloaked by Sierra's technology. Ahead of them floated 09, a massive circular station built into the rocky surface of a dead moon. It didn't look like a lab. It looked like a fortress, laser towers, shield walls. Dozens of small patrol ships circled it like sharks. Raylan Cross stared at it through the window. So that's their secret project? Sierra stood beside him, her eyes dark. Yes, it's called the Omega Spear. Once it fires, no planet survives. Raylan crossed his arms. Then we make sure it never fires. Inside the station, high above its glowing core, Tarnuk scientists worked without pause. Alien engineers hunched over glowing panels, adjusted strange power cores. Thick green liquid ran through tubes on the walls. In the center of it all stood a tall, armored figure, Commander Vrox, the mind behind the Omega Spear. He wasn't like other Tarnaks. He was calm, cold, focused. He looked at a hologram of Earth. Spinning slowly, soon, he whispered, their sun will rise and never set again. Back in the Vigilant, Raylan and Sierra suited up, their goal, infiltrate the core, upload a virus, and overload the reactor. Eve activated a scan, detected a weakness in the lower maintenance shaft. Entry possible for 2 individuals, warning. Heavy internal security. Raylan smirked, wouldn't be fun without danger. He handed Sierra a compact blaster. You sure you're ready for this? She took it without hesitation. I was born in the Empire, I know how to break it. They launched in a stealth pod and landed silently on the dark side of the station. The metal walls of 09 loomed tall around them. Raylan activated his magnetic boots. Let's walk into hell. Inside the station, alarms stayed silent. No one saw them coming. They moved through vents and dark corridors. Every wall buzzed with power. Strange symbols lit their path. Raylan whispered. What is this place made of? Sierra replied, Tarnuk. Biometal, it heals itself. Think of it like a living ship. Raylan shivered. Great. A base with a heartbeat. As they crept closer to the core, a door opened suddenly ahead. Two Tarnuk guards stepped out. Sierra grabbed Raylan and pulled him into the shadows. They waited. One of the guards stopped. Sniffed the air. Raylan held his breath. Then they walked away. The path was clear. After a long crawl through the cooling ducts, they reached the central chamber. What they saw froze them. The Omega Sphere stood tall in the center of a vast room, a black tower glowing with red energy. Dozens of Tarnuk engineers moved around it. Floating drones scanned every inch. Sierra whispered, if we trigger the core at the right time, it will collapse in on itself. The entire station will go with it. Raylan nodded. And we'll be stuck in the middle. They moved fast. They climbed along support beams, using blind spots in the patrol routes. They reached the control terminal. Sierra plugged in the virus drive, her hands shaking slightly. 5 minutes to upload. Raylan stood watch. Suddenly, Eve's voice buzzed in his earpiece. Warning, motion detected. You are not alone. A soft clank echoed from behind. Raylan spun. Too late. An energy net fired. Zap. He fell, trapped in a glowing field. Sierra turned and was surrounded by Tarnuk soldiers. And then Vrox appeared. He walked slowly, confidently, his eyes locked on Raylan, the human ghost. The one who broke our fleet. Raylan struggled in the trap. You've been watching me. Vrox smiled. Of course, you are clever, dangerous, but predictable. He turned to Sierra. And you, traitor, born of Tarnuk, now crawling beside a human rat. Sierra stood tall. You forgot something. What? She smiled. I already finished the upload. Beeping echoed. The control panel behind her flashed. Red. Virus active. Vrox's face changed. Stop it. He screamed, but it was too late. The lights in the chamber began to flicker. The Omega Sphere hummed louder. System failure, a drone reported. Core destabilizing. Raylan kicked hard, breaking one hand free from the net. He reached for his emergency flare. Boom. The flash blinded the guards. Sierra fired. 2 guards dropped. Raylan broke the net, rolled to cover, and fired back. They fought side by side, pushing toward the escape hatch. We need to go now, Raylan shouted. Sierra activated her beacon. Eve, bring the pod. The entire station shook. Alarms blared. The Omega Sphere's tower cracked down the middle. Energy arcs jumped across the walls. The virus was working. The weapon was dying. As they reached the outer airlock, Vrox reappeared injured, furious. He charged, weapon raised. Raylan turned. Bang. One clean shot. Vrox fell. Raylan looked down at him. You forgot something too, he said. We're not afraid of you anymore. The pod docked just in time. Raylan and Sierra jumped inside. Go. Go, go. The pod blasted away, behind them. The entire station exploded in a wave of red fire from space. 09 was gone. All that remained was silence. Inside the pod, Sierra leaned back, breathing hard. Raylan looked at her. You okay? She nodded. We did it. Raylan smiled weakly. 1 station down. 1 empire to go. Asterisk last light. The explosion of 09 echoed across space. Tarnak warships, once bold and ruthless, went silent as their secret weapon vanished in a fireball. The Omega Sphere, the Empire's final hope of instant victory, was gone. Raylan Cross had destroyed it, but peace didn't follow. Revenge came instead. 3 days later, Earth's defense satellites picked up movement, massive movement. Thousands of ships larger than any previous wave charged toward the solar system. The Tarnuk Empire wasn't coming to win, they were coming to end humanity. In Earth's orbit, inside the United Fleet's command ship Liberty, Raylan stood before a giant screen. Red dots filled it, so many that they blurred into one solid shape. Beside him, Sierra read the data with quiet fear. They've gathered everything, she said. Every remaining ship, every destroyer, every dreadnought. Raylan nodded slowly. This is their last strike. The room fell silent. Then he added, it has to be ours too. Down on Earth, cities went dark. civilian crafts evacuated to the underground bunkers. Entire nations stopped fighting each other because this fight was for all of them. Every screen, every broadcast repeated the same words, "This is Earth's last stand." Raylan walked into the War Council chamber. Commanders, scientists, diplomats, all waited. He pulled up a 3D image of the Tarnak fleet. "We can't match them ship for ship, not in size, not in numbers, but we still have one advantage," he pointed to a narrow line behind Jupiter. "We'll fight them before they reach Earth. In the asteroid belt. Force them into a choke point, trap them, break them." A general asked, "How? With what?" Raylan smiled grimly. "With everything we've got." Sierra led the strategy for the asteroid field. She knew how the Tarnaks moved, how they thought. "They want to crush you with strength. We give them that strength and pull it out from under them." The plan was clear. Earth would not wait. Earth would attack first. Across the system, ships launched. Human warships, rebel alien fighters, freighters armed with plasma, fighters piloted by teenagers and veterans alike. Even Sierra's own people, some still hiding in secret outposts, sent old cruisers to join the cause. This was no longer just a human war. This was a war for freedom. As the fleet moved into position, Raylan stood alone on the bridge of the Vigilant. The ship had been fully repaired, faster, stronger, upgraded one last time. But this time, Raylan didn't smile. He looked at the stars in silence. Then he spoke softly. "Eve, open private message log." "Ready," the AI replied. Raylan recorded a final message. He didn't say where it was going, but the words came straight from his heart. "If you're seeing this, I didn't make it back, but I want you to know, we never gave up. Not once. They brought their whole empire, and we still stood tall. One ship, one man, one fight at a time. That's how we survived ours." Later, the sky burned. The Battle of the Belt had begun. Thousands of Tarnak warships surged into the asteroid field. And Earth's fleet was waiting. From behind the rocks, ships launched ambushes. Asteroids exploded with hidden mines. Fighter wings weaved in and out of chaos like sparks from a flame. The sky became a storm. Raylan flew into the center. He wasn't giving orders anymore. He was leading the charge. The Vigilant cut through enemy lines, disabling cruisers, scattering interceptors. Eve calculated every turn, every strike. Sierra fired cannons from the co-pilot seat with cold precision, but the enemy kept coming. For every ship they destroyed, 5 more appeared. Then, a new alert flashed. Enemy dreadnought-class vessel approaching. Unknown configuration, massive energy spike. Sierra's face paled. "It's their last ship, the Breaker of Suns, a superweapon." It was 3 times larger than Earth's biggest carrier, its front end open like a glowing mouth. Raylan's hands tightened on the controls. "We can't let that thing fire." He opened a private channel to the fleet. "This is Captain Cross. All ships, fall back. I'll handle this." Sierra looked at him, eyes wide. "You can't be serious." Raylan nodded. "You said it yourself. It's the Empire's last card. If we take it out, we end the war, but it'll kill you." Raylan gave a sad smile. "Maybe, but maybe that's the price." He stood up, walked toward the ship's core chamber and inserted the overdrive core, a prototype reactor, powerful enough to rip a hole through a star. Eve set a collision course. The Vigilant turned and rocketed toward the enemy ship. All other fighters cleared the path. Even the Tarnaks paused, confused. What was this one ship doing? Sierra grabbed Raylan's hand. "You don't have to do this." He held it tight. "I do. And you have to live. Someone has to tell the story." He activated her emergency pod and ejected her. "I'm sorry." The door sealed. Inside the enemy dreadnought, alarms blared. Unidentified ship approaching. Too fast. Too close. Too late. The Vigilant hit the ship's core with full force. A white explosion ripped across space. Silence followed. Then cheers. Across every ship. Humans and aliens screamed in victory. The enemy was gone. The war was over. Back on Earth, days later, a monument was raised, a lone figure standing tall, hand outstretched toward the stars. Beneath it, the words, "He was one ship. He became a shield, and we still stand." The legacy of Furion week after the Battle of the Belt. The stars were quiet again, but this time they stayed quiet. No enemy fleets, no warnings, no death. Just peace on Earth. The people slowly returned. From underground shelters, the skies were clear. The world had changed. Across the news, one name echoed: Captain Raylan Cross, the man who flew into a monster and saved the world. There was no body to bury, no wreckage to recover, just energy waves, scattered debris, and stories. Stories told by the survivors. Sierra sat on a hill overlooking the Pacific Ocean. The wind in her silver blue hair. She had never seen Earth before the war. Now, she had no reason to leave. Raylan had saved her life more than once. But, more than that, he had given her a new purpose, a voice, and now, she planned to use it. Across space, a new alliance was born, made not from fear, but from fire. Humans and free Tarnic rebels signed the Unity Accord, a promise of peace, trade, and protection. Other species joined to some who had once feared humans, others who had once hunted them. The galaxy didn't see Earth as a weak planet anymore. Now, they saw Earth as something else, a leader. A survivor, a symbol. At Unity Station, high above Earth, Sierra stood before a massive crowd. Diplomats, soldiers, civilians, alien and human watched her speak. Behind her stood a large black flag with a silver flame in the center, the flame of vigilance, Raylan's symbol. Sierra raised her voice. He wasn't born into war, he was forged by it. One man, one ship, one mission, and yet he changed the course of history. We cannot repay him, but we can honor him by building something better than the war he died in. Let this station be the start. Thunderous applause echoed through the station. The flame was lit. It would burn every year, on the same day, Raylan Cross Day. Back on Earth, a statue was built in New London's rebuilt city center. It showed Raylan in his pilot armor, one hand outstretched, as if reaching for the stars. The base read, "He didn't fly alone, we flew with him, and now we rise, Eve." The AI who once flew the Vigilant was saved, her data was recovered from backup and uploaded into the new ship designed in Raylan's honor. The RCS Crossfire, Earth's new flagship, smarter, stronger, faster, but carrying the same spirit, and this time, it wouldn't fly alone. Sierra, now promoted to fleet ambassador, stood aboard the Crossfire's deck, ready to begin a new kind of mission. Not a mission of war, but of peacekeeping and exploration. She walked through the ship, touching the walls. "You would have loved this," she whispered. Later, in a quiet room on the ship, she opened Raylan's final message. The one he had recorded before the last battle. The screen blinked. Then his face appeared, calm, brave, human. "If you're seeing this, I didn't make it back, but if the stars are still there and you're still flying, then maybe it was worth it. I didn't fight because I wanted glory. I fought because someone had to draw the line, because someone had to say this. Far no further. I hope one day they tell our story, not the war, but what came after. Build something better, that's all I ask." The message ended. Sierra's eyes were wet, but her smile was real. "We will," she whispered. Years passed. Children learned about Raylan Cross in school. Pilots trained with his tactics. Diplomats used his story as a bridge between species that once hated each other. Every year, on Raylan Cross Day, a small ship flew alone across Earth's atmosphere, in silence, then disappeared into space. Not as a weapon, but as a memory. One day, many years later, a young girl sat by the statue in New London. She looked up at the stars. Her father stood beside her. "Who was he?" she asked. The man smiled. "He was just a pilot, just one ship, but when everything else failed, he didn't." The girl looked at the flame burning beside the statue. "I want to be like him." Far beyond Earth, near the edge of known space, a deep space probe picked up a signal. Not from Earth. Not from any known species. It blinked once, then again, a peaceful pattern, a greeting. The probe responded. The signal blinked faster. And then a new message came through. "We saw your flame." The galaxy had changed, not just because of war, but because one human chose to fight when no one else would. One human ship, against everything. And still, it burned.